So hello, YouTube. This is Brad Jones. I am not a professional YouTuber. I am not an influencer. I am pretty much a nobody. I used to be a somebody in the political hack world a long time ago, and now I'm a tech hack and lots of other things, of course. I'm a very well-rounded boy. But I am also super into watching and listening to religious YouTube podcasts, books, all the things. I'm super into ex Mormonism, ex Jehovah's Witness stuff, ex Scientology stuff, and but especially I'm really interested in ex Mormonism. I'm an atheist myself. I have deconverted from the faith of my youth. I was brought up Methodist. Um, that's sort of a different story that if anybody cares about, you can, I don't know, I'll do the whole YouTube influencer thing. You can tell me in the comments below. Uh, I don't really care though about, building out a channel. The only other video on this channel is a tour of this RV that I'm talking to you from. And I just enjoy living my life. I have lots of different interests, and one of them is atheism and following ex-religious organization, people and organizations and things like that. And of particular note, I am just enthralled with the activities of this guy, Kwaku L. Kwaku, you bring me no end of joy, even though you have blocked me, I think, on Twitter and Instagram. Maybe just Twitter, I think. Um, Regardless, you and the three Mormons, excuse me, Saints Unscripted, because Mormon is a slur now, according to the true living prophet of God on earth. And I can't get enough of all of this. Quite honestly, just bullshit that is coming out in the Mormon sphere, the Mormon apologetics sphere. I am not going to purport to try to do as good a job as, like, say, John DeLynn or Zelf on the Shelf or like Jimmy Snow or any of these people that follow Mormonism more closely than I do. However, I stumbled upon this video. I have not yet, I guess, seen a reaction to it, although I could be wrong. And I had to react to this video that I found on, what is it, Stone 16, I think is the name of the channel. We'll see here in a second. Um, I have to believe that it is, by the way, if you don't know Kwaku, and Kwaku, I would love to have a beer with you sometime. I don't dislike you. You seem like a nice enough guy, even though you are definitely more millennial than me. You might not even be millennial anymore. I'm an old millennial. Okay, barely a millennial. I'd love to have a beer with you, but I know that's not allowed. So, I'm going to be driving this RV through uh, Provo at some point this summer because I just have to check out BYU and all of this crazy Mormon stuff. And I would love to, I don't know, have a whatever substitute sugary drink that you guys drink at the BYU Creamery, because I hear the ice cream is really good. So and it's on me, by the way. You're a poor student. Even though this is a good segue, you, I think, are bankrolled by the church in these activities. I mean, this is my post onto ex-Mormon Reddit, even though I am not an ex-Mormon. Found this on Kwaku's Instagram page, and this was a teaser a year ago. It's interesting how this is aged, of a project that has just come out on Fair Mormon's YouTube page channel, and has really blown up in their face, right? This refutation to the CES letter. But the thing that caught my eye is a point by point rebuttal of the CES letter with a church company. And that struck me as interesting because I think it is pretty well established that Three Mormons slash Saints Unscripted, Fair Mormon, More Good Foundation, all of this are just hydra heads of the Mormon Church. Uh, they have billions, but I don't think Ensign Peak, those billions are going toward this. No, that would make too much sense. You got to fundraise current dollars to pay for the current apologetics. And it's really sort of super interesting that Kwaku is the face of modern Mormon apologetics. I mean, this is the face of the best that the church can do on apologetics. And there are plenty of others. There's that is it David on Saints Unscripted, who seems a little bit more sort of the I don't know, scholarly side, right? He does all of that faith and belief stuff. I mean, it's still all apologetics, right? But Kwaku really, I mean, he's the guy. I'm shocked that you're still in college, Kwaku. You should just drop out and do this full time, because I'm sure the money's good, and why not, right? It seems to be what you like to do. So anyway, so this video that I just had to respond to is Kwaku on Stone 16 or whatever I think it's called. They do a mix of these really awkward roundtable shows where Kwaku is sort of like a little preoccupied with the looks of his female co-hosts. That's just my impression. But also they do these sort of like late night things with, I think, Cardin Ellis as a radio host. I used to do radio, but I wasn't very good at it. All I got was this RE20. That's it. So good on you guys. A lot of it is really fraught, including this video, and I just had to respond to it. So I don't know. Let's get right into it. Let's watch this thing. Let's see if I can figure out how to use. I am so not a professional YouTuber. I don't know how to use any of this stuff.
Atheists, or as you may know them, the Fedora Kids.
Okay, so that awkward jump cut was me figuring out if the audio was delayed or not. But anyway, welcome back from my awkward jump cut. So yeah, so I guess I got the name right. Stone 16, the Fedora Kids. We already with the ad hominem right into it. Kwaku, it's real classy.
Let's be honest, atheism is boring. Christianity gave us the Sistine Chapel and Les Mis. Atheism gave us the RAR XD reply guy from your hometown who still works at 7-Eleven. Religion makes everything prettier. Atheism makes you Naruto run to lunch. But they always got their food first. It's way cooler to pray to Our Lady of Fatima.
I am way too old to get a lot of these jokes, so I'm just gonna probably have to let them slide. But Kwaku is making the point now that basically, everything good comes from Christianity in history, and that there's so much to owe Christianity when it comes to culture. Which, okay, fine, there are certainly artistic endeavors that were bankrolled by the church or people who happen to be Christian over the long arc of history, right? I have been to La Sagrada Familia, still under construction, and one day, maybe when our government overlords will let us travel again, I can go back and see what has been done since then. And I even gave them some money, okay, to help with the construction. Is that the same as saying that only Christian culture is able to provide value to the cultural milieu? What about the many advances scientific also that Arab culture has made to society? I don't see anything about that in here, but of course, this is not exactly fair and balanced.
In a fine Fatima and say, "M'lady." And yes, that's a stereotype, but they make fun of us all the time. I mean, we get roasted, but so will they. Also, why do all...
Okay, so Kwaku, a little bit of free advice here, okay, from somebody who is clearly older than you, because I don't get half of these references. You talk way too fucking fast, man. If you're gonna be, first of all, if you're gonna be in broadcast, which you kind of want to be, although I guess YouTube isn't really broadcast because it's so highly produced a lot of the time. You gotta slow down. I mean, the teleprompter you're reading off of has got to be smoking. It's working so fast. Like, slow down. This is public speaking 101, man. And look, I know what it's like to have a bunch of new broadcast toys, and the cost of decent production value. You keep cutting to that little sort of behind the scenes, angle here. The cost of good production value has gone down so much that anybody can do it. I'm sitting here on my laptop, my underpowered laptop, making a video, taking you down in HD. So it's accessible to anybody, but I mean, slow down. The production value has still got to match the content. All right. So free advice aside, is implying that people are going to burn in hell an effective technique here? I don't really think so. Although, I'm not the audience. I'm too old for this. So maybe I'm also not the audience insofar as, like, your audience is probably, in this case, because none of this is all that compelling to somebody who is thinking of leaving the church. It's not compelling to change any atheist mind, certainly. I would imagine that your audience is your donors. And in that case, they probably think this is funny. They must think you're funny. So I guess this flavor of humor is appealing to them. But that's not a reasonable appeal to a thinking person. To threaten that they are going to burn in hell, right? Also, don't Mormons not really believe in it? Isn't outer darkness not really hell? I'm sure you'll just, say that I'm being too pedantic and that, I shouldn't take this seriously. That's fine because I don't take any of your arguments seriously, really. So that's fine. We're even.
YouTube atheists have long hair. I mean, TJ Kirk looks like Dog the Bounty Hunter, and Jimmy Snow looks exactly the way you think he would. And if they don't have beards, you recognize them from Toy Story. Here's the deal. I get it.
Okay, so if you don't know all of the people that just got thrown up on screen, Dog the Bounty Hunter aside, okay, I think Dog actually was religious, so he gets a pass. But Jimmy, first of all, is I think, proud Coloradan. I just moved from Denver, so I was about to say sort of fellow Denverite, but I am no longer one. Jimmy, by the way, I have an awesome girl that I want you to meet. She's cool, she's queer, and you would love her. And yeah, and also you're hot, right? Kwaku doesn't think you're hot, but I think you're perfectly fine. You're bi and you're okay by me. This is just ad hominem, right? Like, what is there to say about this aside from the fact that it is a lot of ad hominem attack? Like, you are leading off with a lot of it too, Kwaku. Like, also, I should give Genetically Modified Skeptic a shout out. All of these guys are like way cooler than I'll ever be. And Genetically Modified Skeptic does a great job. And doesn't deserve to be, sent up, even though I guess it's, kindly, I guess, comparing him to what, Woody from Toy Story. I guess that's better. But I mean, the implication here is like, oh, we love you, Jimmy. It's like, no, you fucking don't. You gotta be kidding me. Like, there's no love here. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
YouTube is full of atheist versus Christian videos. And Christians want to talk about the basis of morality and the evidence of the resurrection. And atheists want to talk about the impossibility of miracles and the mathematical improbability of one religion being true. And you know what? Both are annoying. You know who everyone is...
So, I mean, I'll agree with this, right? Like, there's a lot of Christian and atheist YouTube that is not all that exciting to watch because it's a little bit sort of in the weeds. But that being said, this is rather reductionist, right? Atheists have a lot more to say than just like the mathematical improbability of there being one true God, which is actually really not all that great an argument. Like, a better argument is sort of just like the from the plurality of religions around the world. Like, how is it possible that there are so many gods to worship, right? Like, Hitchens was fond of quoting that line. I can't remember who said it originally, like, we've gone from hundreds of gods to a few dozen to one, and we're getting closer to the true number all the time, right? Like, that's a more compelling type of argument. The improbability of miracles, like, show me a miracle. Okay, there was a video on Saints Unscripted recently, which was one of the worst that I have seen from that apologetic outlet, with a guy who claims, it is literally the argument of God, the God of the lost keys, made seriously on a church-sponsored platform. God can help this guy find his mission journal, right? That was like caught in the rain. Yet God will allow children to die from preventable disease every day. Like, Kwaku, we're making serious arguments, right? There are progressive, interesting, nuanced arguments being made by atheists to simply repeat, as you are about to, that you just feel good when you think about your religion is not an argument, right? That might maybe pass for an argument at BYU, but I can certainly tell you it did not in my philosophy classes at CU Boulder.
You know who everyone is equally annoyed at? The pastor on the street yelling at people to repent, and the skater kid in class who thinks he's edgy because he makes a Jesus joke. Both are annoying. Both are attention seekers. Both still listen to Mayday
Agree.
Parade. Ugh. So if the creep
Don't
pastor
get it, too
slut-shaming
old.
sorority girls at ASU campus doesn't refute the atheist, who does? Answer, the atheist has to.
Okay, so I really don't get that reference. Okay, like, are ASU girls really easy? Like, did I go to the wrong school? By the way, I went to CU Boulder, probably way more of a party school, probably way easier to get girls. I was way too busy being, quite honestly, just like I am now, preoccupied with policy and politics and, I don't know, figuring out how the world works. I really should have just been more busy trying to score with chicks. Which, by the way, Kwaku strikes me as a pretty big hornball. Every time I mean, you follow his social media, he's always running around with girls. He's very preoccupied with the girls who are on Stone 16 with him. He always comments on people's looks and attractiveness and all this kind of stuff. Kwaku, just, actually, I think I heard somewhere that you're actually not a virgin. So you know how good it is. Maybe just go out and get laid, dude. You'll chill out, like, and maybe you won't have to talk so fast in these videos.
Oh, were you expecting me to throw the best evidence for God at you? Sorry, YouTube works in mysterious ways. No, gosh, please, no, not that way. The way God talks to us is through the heart. Becoming religious is an emotional act. Everyone likes to pretend they chose their faith because they went with the facts. But God doesn't work.
Okay, so actually, let's address this, right? Because that's just not true. Most people do not have the religion they are currently in, are not of the religion they are currently, whatever, however I should phrase that, because they chose it rationally. Most people, and this is borne out just by the data and look around you in the world, most people are the religion they are because they were born that way and their family inculcated them that way, right? Like, why was I raised Methodist or Christian, right? The denomination doesn't so much matter, but I was raised Christian because that was what my mom was and my grandmother was, right? And so that's exactly what you're going to be. If you're born in Utah, right? Why does it happen to be that, if Mormonism is the one true church and all of the children born into this world lived with God as spirit babies beforehand, why are most of them being born in like China and India and Russia? Right? Like, what it's not, most of them are not being born into good Mormon families who were really obedient in the pre-existence, like, who live in Utah. That's just not the case, right? And you're certainly not going to choose the religion of your rational thought in, I don't know, Libya or Saudi Arabia, right? Or, these countries that are repressive. Like, you're going to be whatever, like, it's good for you to be. Because if you're not, you'll be stoned to death. I mean, at least, like, we're not dealing with that in the US right now, but it's just untrue, right? That people choose their religions by and large. They just fall into it. And quite honestly, most people just don't think that hard about it. And so if they say, yeah, I'm Christian or whatever, it just means that they were raised that way.
He doesn't require his followers to be academics. He requires them to be believers. In general, people don't make fundamental changes until they feel they need to. I mean, did you go on that diet because of the health exercise study guide you did in class, or because your Tinder picture...
Oh, gee, I'm really sorry I missed that Tinder joke. I'll have to wait for it. No, but people people do things through a mix of rational thought and emotion and subconsciously, right? Mostly people follow incentives, and everybody's incentive is different. So in the case of religion, the Mormon, really, you're going for what? I wasn't raised Mormon, so I don't quite know all of the, right. It's like Moroni's promise or something like that, right? Like if you pray about it, you'll get a burning in the bosom that it's true, right? That kind of emotional connection. If that's where you're going, then sure, people can feel good about lots of different things. I feel really good when I come. You should try it. It clears your brain out too, right? But like that doesn't mean that God's talking to me when I come. Um, if I was worried about being demonetized on YouTube, I would be concerned about that, right? But like, there's lots of things that can make you feel good. And if you read a book that people tell you will make you feel good, and then you pray about it, like maybe you'll feel good. And people don't need to have a rational case made to them. Like I enjoy hiking, right? Like I worked for the Boy Scouts for 2 summers hiking, basically for pay, not very good pay, but pay nonetheless. And like I didn't come to that conclusion that that's what I wanted to do for 2 summers because I was like rationally deconstructing all of the pros and cons. I just decided that that's what I wanted to do because I enjoyed it. Uh, and that's kind of what you're arguing for, but like it's not a binary condition, right? It's not either people are rational robots or they're totally emotional. You can have a mix of both. Like there's nothing
Was
wrong with
taken
that.
20 pounds ago. Yeah, you went from looking like Addison Rae to Billy Ray. Did you start saving money in a separate account because you knew that financial planning was important at 18? Or because you ran out of money in the Taco Bell and held up the line until the guy behind you felt guilty and covered your gordita crunch with his military discount? Yeah, it was that one. The feeling of
Slow
embarrassment.
it
People
down.
don't rule their lives by
Nobody can hear your
logic. They rule their
jokes.
lives by their feelings. That's why we fall in love and cry to music and stalk our ex's Visco at 2 a.m. And yes, her new boyfriend is a downgrade. If you were God and you needed to give people the
Okay, so we just sort of reiterated the point that we made before, but maybe we could deconstruct it again, right, for you, Kwaku, which is like rational people, even Ayn Rand, right? Like I'm a libertarian. I like Ayn Rand. Let's talk about her. Um, Even Ayn Rand like loved, right? There's a great little PBS animated video of her, a little clip from her talking to Mike Wallace about love, and she feels emotional love because of like the virtue and value of her partner and like what her partner does for her and all of this kind of stuff, right? Like it's a mix of all of the above. But also I can feel like I can feel love for somebody, or I can feel even lust, let's say, okay, which will drive my actions. I have been driven by lust more than one time in my life, okay? uh but at the end of the day, at the end of the night, okay, I might realize that my reason is going to take charge, and I'm going to say, you know what, that was fun for now and it served some purpose, but it's not the be all end all in my life. And ergo, I'm going to use my reason, right? I could go to church and feel good. I made this case for a while I was deconverting. I made this case for a long time while I was deconverting that it made me feel good, right? Going to church and hearing a nice message and sitting up in the rafters and listening to the organ music, like it's a feel good machine. um but you can also apply reason to it too. Where's my play button?
freedom to choose you and make a case, a strong case for your existence? Would you throw philosophy articles at them and make them read 72 pages of some professor's thesis? Or would you tug at their emotions and make them feel your presence? You would do that because it's more effective.
Okay, right. So this coming from this, well, I guess the point is here that it's like read the Book of Mormon and see how you feel, right? That would be the emotional tug at the heartstrings. However, it is, the Thinking Atheist podcast did a really great series recently on like bad apologetics, and this reminds me of one of the apologetics that is often applied, which is you just haven't read enough of whatever, right? You haven't read the book by the soon to be discredited, microbiologist talking about how he found God in DNA or something like that, right? You just haven't read the right book. There is just volumes of extra shit in the Mormon uh lexicon, right? Or bibliography, right? Just books upon books upon books by, general authorities who, I wonder where the royalties go from, the sales, volunteer ministry, my ass, right? I mean, the church is all about money. There's a lot of books and videos and all sorts of stuff that Mormons can plug their money into, or their time, quite frankly, not even just money. Like all these firesides and stuff like that. Like if Mormonism is that straightforward and you just have to have a feel good confirmatory uh, experience with God, why do we need general conference fucking twice a year, right? And to force people to sit through what is really, really boring, right? Like it's boring.
Emotions always win out. That's why Will Smith took back his cheating wife, that hitch. I said hitch. Nobody starts out saying, yeah, I think virgins could give birth. Instead, they ask, why am I here? Where am I going? And does this life matter? Those questions are necessary, and the answers need to be outer worldly. Some random guy who just said,
Okay, the answers need to be out of worldly. Wow, Kwaku, you talk so fast, there's a lot to unpack there. uh, why do, we want to know where we came from and all this kind of stuff? Like, have you seen the video of the landing of the Mars rover? Have you seen just the vast volumes of science that show just how alone we are in the universe, right? And how you know unlikely all of our circumstances are, right? And how we got here through just uh a really amazing process that could be totally explained, right? It might not even be that unlikely, right? There could be the numbers pan out that there could be thousands of worlds just like this, right? Maybe not like Kolob, okay, but like we are simultaneously really unique and not special at all, right? This is the wonder of science, and I'm not a scientist, okay, so I've already probably made a fool of myself there, but like it is not religion's sole domain to be able to answer these questions for us, okay? And to have an interesting exploration of these possibilities, okay, that science has put forward to us with pretty good evidence, you have to be able to understand that it is complex and we're not going to know all the answers. And God of the gaps, right, where we just fill in Heavenly Father wherever it doesn't quite make sense. Or quite frankly, you're going to get in trouble at BYU for saying shit like this because, how many young Earth creationists are there kicking around that place who still don't want to teach evolution, right? Or will make the case that like literally we are all descendants from Adam and Eve, okay, or that the global flood happened. Like you're saying that we don't have to believe in a virgin birth, okay? Um is it okay then also to not believe that Jesus was like the physical incarnation of Heavenly Father sent to earth, right? Like if I don't have to believe in the virgin birth, as you basically just said that I don't have to be required to do, like can I go into my temple recommend interview with the bishop? Okay, don't do it alone. Can I go in there and basically say that I don't believe in the virgin birth? Like, I mean, that probably would be okay, right? But like, I am more or less required to sustain Joseph Smith as a prophet that actually talked to God, right? Like, how much of this watered down Mormonism that you're pitching here, right, actually flies, or is this just watered down for people who would like to think that it's a lot more of a big
Says
tent
you
than it
matter
is.
and that you have worth on his Instagram story isn't as impressive as a glowing messenger from heaven saying, God sent me, he is real, this is how you get to heaven. That's a lot cooler. It makes me a lot more sure that life has meaning. Even if I didn't see that angel, if someone else did, it packs a stronger punch than some atheist saying you matter just because you do. Let's say you don't believe in God or you're just not sure. If an angel, whether it's Gabriel, Moroni, St. Michael, or
Well, so is it really all that different? Is it really all that different? I mean, I'm watching this for, I'm not watching this for the first time. I've watched it, but like I'm reacting to this in real time. I'm thinking about this. Is what you just asked us to believe about God's love and plan for us all that different from the humanist philosophy that we all matter because right, as I'll say, I'll channel Ayn Rand again, qua human, right? Like we just are human and we are worth love and affection because of that. Uh or not even so much love and affection, but like respect, right? Like we have basic human dignity and rights, and we can treat each other with respect and kindness, and work on some sort of construct of shared understanding without religion. Is that really all that different from like God telling us that we matter? Like, why do I need somebody to tell me that? Like, I could just feel that because I'm human. Um, I don't think your sales pitch is all that unique, really, from the humanism that you're trying to send up.
even Krishna, descends to the earth before your literal eyes, glowing with celestial light, and tells you, yes, I am sent by God or the gods, they are real. You're probably gonna believe in God after that. Or just put down the happy brownie. So you may be asking, well, when has that happened? Well, Muhammad, Joan of Arc, Juan Diego, Joseph Smith, the list goes on and on. So many influential figures of history began their movements by claiming
Okay, so the inference here, right, is something I tell you something miraculous happened, and that is it's good enough for Kwaku. Should it be good enough for the rest of us? Well, again, to channel, Hitchens, right? Like why does God only show himself to poor peasants who have difficulty being able to, prove the experience that happened to them? And in many cases, right, it's reported so long after the fact that it's difficult to disprove the thing that happened, right? I don't need to go into, and I would be not the right person to go into, uh, deconstructing the first vision, okay, because lots of people have done that anyway. But like, why is this Joseph Smith story so compelling to Kwaku rather than, I don't know, as he points out, right? Krishna, Muhammad, Mary Baker Eddy, right? Or L. Ron Hubbard. Like, why him, right? Why Joseph Smith and not any of those other improbable stories? Because and I suppose actually what he's trying to say here in a very global sense, maybe this is sort of a quote unquote Catholic type approach, which is it's Catholic in the universal sense, right? That it's just if all of these people are telling us God is real, God must be real. Maybe that's the point. Maybe this is maybe we're getting really really watered down Mormonism, that isn't even Mormonism. It's just a plea for us to believe in
they
God.
were spoken to by beings that came from above. I mean, Joan of Arc led France to freedom after she claimed angels spoke to her. A teenage war revolutionary is the reason France is France today. She was a little white girl who waved the flag of liberty, and now France is full of little girls who wave the white flag. But never mind, schizophrenics don't do what Joan did. The stability and intellect it takes to do what she did is not something a crazy person or a con artist has. Joan of Arc said she saw angels, and now she's a Catholic saint and an icon of Western heritage. Your agnostic sister cries after she makes a TikTok because her twerk isn't sexy enough. Of course not, she's 15. Someone please take her phone. No, not you. Same with Joseph Smith. The man could have started any slightly off Protestant church. Instead, during the height of white supremacy and
Whoa. I mean, wow. Okay. um I don't even know. I mean, first of all, this whole rap about Joan of Arc, like, what is there to say about that? I mean, religious people have been, historical figures. That's fine. Um, I think the implication is that atheists don't really have anything to offer when it comes to grandiose claims, which is precisely the point. We don't make grandiose claims because we like to have evidence for our claims. So yeah, no, we're not going to compete with you on that front. Like that's not something I need. That's not a competition I need to win.
Christianity, he claimed an ancient Native American angel told him to translate a record proving that a group of indigenous people were actually chosen children of God, and that all the European creedal churches were an abomination, and he led thousands from city to city to escape persecution before he ran for president on a platform that abolished slavery, all while saying,
don't forget, do not forget that the Mormon Church did not allow black people into the temple, right? Until the mid 70s? You gotta be fucking kidding me. All right, Kwaku, keep it up, buddy. I mean, like, there's a lot packed into there. I mean, this video is getting long as it is. Like, I can't deconstruct every last claim here about Joseph Smith, and like I'm not the expert to do that, but the implication here also is that like Joseph Smith couldn't be a con artist because look at all the stuff that he did. Like, look at the byproduct of his work. Big church, right? $100 billion in the bank. Let's see Saints Unscripted do a video about that. I'd like to see that, guys. Or Fair Mormon. Or whatever it is, the Tits show, right? You can have a big church and you can have a lot of money, but it doesn't mean that it isn't predicated on a fraud, right? Would you like to make the same claim about Scientology, right? I am tired, actually, of people being like making comparisons between Mormonism and Scientology, because Scientology is, quite frankly, on a abusive level to like its individual members, much more dangerous, but Mormonism has a lot more active members and tears up a lot more families. So I guess maybe we should be comparing them, but the point being, like, just because Joseph Smith wrote a book that you think is revolutionary, right, which actually isn't all that good, I've tried to read it, it's unreadable, that doesn't prove anything, right? Like, we can have there are lots of great pieces of art and novels and all the rest that I'm sure Kwaku doesn't think are really appropriate for consumption by good Mormons, but those are accomplishments, just like writing the Book of Mormon. I mean, it's I'm not trying to. I don't get what the exceptionalism here is.
People get savagely murdered by mobs and bigots. He never backed down. Not a con man, not delusional. He saw an angel. He saw God too. Most con artists don't.
Hey, Kwaku, I'd really like to know. Actually, could you let me know down in the comments? I'll be a good YouTuber. Could you let me know if you've read Rough Stone Rolling? Because I have. Joseph Smith was a really fraught character. Just because he, led people across the country to move around to various places before they got kicked out, like, doesn't particularly mean anything, right? And he didn't finish the job, quite honestly. Where did he take them? He got, murdered before he finished. But I guess Brigham Young finished that up, so we'll give him a pass on that.
Make history like that. I mean, because of Joseph Smith, millions worship together, build temples, create art, and even settle their own areas and territories. Con artists don't get that. I mean, the most P.T. Barnum got was a musical with Hugh Jackman and Charlie St. Cloud.
Have you been to Clearwater? Have you been to Clearwater, Florida?
Con artists don't change the world for good like that. Visionaries who see angels or gods.
So, Kwaku, I would like to change the world for good. Okay, so one could make an argument, which I don't think you have made here, really, that a lot of Mormons do, or a lot of Christians do, which is like, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, because look at the good things that people do in the name of religion, right? Their religion. Okay, cool. Um, but you just basically said that Joseph Smith, led people across the country. Brigham Young finished the job, settled them down in Salt Lake, made big Mormon families, right? What is unique about that, right? There have been pilgrimages. I mean, what about one could actually argue that the much more distributed Oregon Trail of migration westward was far more influential and doesn't need to be predicated on religion. Now, many of them were motivated by religious freedom, sure, but it was not, they didn't have a charismatic religious figure at the head. I mean, of course, this turns into a video about Joseph Smith, right, and Mormonism, because that's what he's getting paid to do. That's what you're getting paid to do, Kwaku. But the point here is about atheists, right? And many atheists have rallied amazingly huge groups of people to their cause without needing to appeal to a higher power. So I don't particularly find this to be like a really compelling argument, but big surprise there, right?
They live for it. They're responsible for miracles and they die for it. Their lives are a testimony that something else is out there. Whether you call them aliens or angels, God or gods, higher intelligence or evolved intelligence, there is something about.
I mean, I'm glad I made the case. I'm glad I made the case about the Oregon Trail, because, like, how many of those people died on the way, right? Like, read Rough Stone Rolling, right? How many people got shot and killed, in their homes? Now, of course, they're religious martyrs. Yes, they're martyrs to the Mormon cause, and it's unfortunate that they shouldn't have been killed because of their religion. Like, let's be honest there. But, like, how many people died of dysentery on the Oregon? Like, have you played Oregon Trail? Like, how many people in your group like die from preventable causes? Like, people died for that migration too. Like, that it has nothing to do with religion.
Besides, the majority of Christians like being connected to their religious heritage and having faith that life has a higher meaning. The majority of atheists just want to watch anime and shop at Buckle. I'll take the former.
It makes them feel
kidding. Good. Ish. When someone believes that Jesus was born of a virgin, rose from the dead, and died for their sins, and has granted them the key to eternal life, it's hard to beat. Angels singing music, flying through time and space, and dividing.
Well, Kwaku, you just explained like 1 minute ago that I think you were trying to make the point that, like, it doesn't matter really if you believe in the virgin birth, but, like, it seems like that's kind of important to the thing here now, like, that it all has to be really miraculous. Like, now you're kind of losing me.
Presenting plates of gold. Amazing! We know it's supernatural and improbable. That's why it's cool. You know what's not cool? Working a 9-to-5 job under some guy named Kyle, going home to a wife you fell out of love with 8 years ago, looking back at your youthful passions, realizing you never achieved them because society told you to pursue a degree in a job that made you nothing more than a cog in the machine of an unfulfilled existence.
Okay, Kwaku. If you're going to talk about people being in unfulfilling marriages, your fucking church tells people to stay in marriages with people they are not attracted to when they come out, or find it unsustainable to be in a marriage of the wrong orientation, right? They get told to go into those marriages, right? Or they have been told, right? I think the Mormon Church has backed off on some of the worst of these abuses, but not all of them, right? Talk about you want to talk about being in in loveless marriages, right? The Mormon Church has told gays and lesbians for decades to stay in to enter into and then stay in the exact kind of thing that you were just sending up here, which, by the way, what does any of that have anything to do? What is being in an unfulfilling relationship? How does being atheist have anything to do with you being in an unfulfilling relationship? You are just as capable. I am great proof of this. Okay, I have fucked up more relationships as a believing person, right? As I have after I lost my faith. It has nothing to do with any of that, right? All of that has to do with me being a really difficult person to be in a relationship with. That's it, right? Like, especially coming from somebody who has not been sealed in the temple yet, right? What do you know about that?
As you numb the pain with depression naps, Michelob Ultra, and 2 hours of Pornhub a day, just hoping your teenage kids would stop respecting you when they realize you weren't the hero they once thought you were, due to your obvious emotional disintegration you publicly displayed at your midlife crisis.
So now I am remembering why I wanted to make this video. Okay, I could just stop right now because this video is the most well, it's actually not the most self-unaware video I have seen from Mormon apologetics, but it's one of the most. You want to talk about porn usage, right? It is a well-known fact that Pornhub is like the most popular website in Utah. Okay, because when you sexually repress people like you, right? I can't wait for you to lose your faith, because you're gonna come out and you're gonna be a kinky motherfucker, and I can't wait to meet you at a swingers club, right? And talk about how how you used to be. Okay, we'll share a drink then. All right, forget the BYU Creamery. But on top of that, you want to talk about antidepressants, right? I think I have to go look up the numbers, but I have been told, I am sure, right, that like Utah leads the country in antidepressant prescriptions. These things are related, right? When you put people into marriages where they have to uh, uh, align with gender roles that do not make sense to them, right? You tell women that they are less than, and then you make it a big competition of who can be the biggest Molly Mormon. Of course, people are going to be depressed, right? That's not you, but you, Kwaku, appear to be leading a wing of the you are leading an insurrection. You are simultaneously being paid by wings of the church to defend it, but you are also defending a flavor of Mormonism that, as far as I can tell, does not exist, right? In a practical sense. Go to your local ward in Provo, okay, and try to find a version of Mormonism that looks like this. Maybe you can play Bishop Roulette, right, and find somebody who is cool, but I guarantee you, President Oaks doesn't espouse the flavor of Mormonism that you are putting out there, right? This edgy, everybody welcome, that ain't the case. It just ain't. I don't recognize this.
Don't look you in the eyes and see a despair-filled iris of mediocrity, all while speedily headed toward your grave, and then at the edge of mortality saying, "That's all, folks." Excuse my Mormon cussing, but that flippin' sucks, and that's what atheism does. It removes hope, faith, and wonderment while leaving you empty. Part of the human story is the beauty of looking up at the sky and the stars and the planets, thinking about who lives there, and realizing it does connect to the gods and the angels, realizing that the meaning of life is absolutely intertwined with higher intelligence, and that the cosmos and our spirit are something meant to stretch forever and not...
Now we get to the... now we get to the core, right? Look up and see Kolob. Where is Kolob? Could you tell me what constellation Kolob is in, that I can, where did the Grand Council occur, right? Also, I have questions about this whole sort of progression of, like, if you I have so many questions, right? Like, you, Kwaku, are going to be a god of your own planet if you are correct, right? Kwaku god. Where... I have so many questions. What constellation does that get to go into? do the blacks who were denied the priesthood during the priesthood ban and now they're dead, do they, where's their, do they get planets retroactively? Do they get the priesthood retroactively? I guess God will figure it all out in the end. Um, I digress. It's just all so rich. The point you are making, right? Yes, that is all there is, right? All there is this. Okay? I will disagree with you on that front. This is all there is. When we hit the great goodbye, it's goodbye, which is why we should enjoy our lives while we have it. That being said, you came dangerously close to making a good point, which is like, who hasn't laid on a nice warm summer evening out under the stars? If you haven't done it, you should, and looked up in wonderment at the universe, right? If you are in a interesting part of the world with not too much light pollution, right? A nice secluded part of the world, you will see the Milky Way, or you will see the cosmos. You'll see planets that are coming into existence and planets that are dying and all of these things, right? Yeah, who gets the planets that are gonna die of heat death? Um, but to assume that just because you have been told that one, you're going to get one of those planets, uh, and that God put all of this in motion for you, right? You, Kwaku, to get your own one of those planets. That is one, not backed by any evidence that I'm aware of, and two, aside from this book that you believe in, and two, all of this is highly aspirational, right? Like it just doesn't make sense that our wishes, what you're essentially saying is that you wish that there is something after this and you are scared of what it might mean that there isn't, right? uh and atheists don't want to give people false hope that there is something after this when there is no evidence of that. So yes, you can say that that is depressing, and that's a reason why people should have faith over not having faith, right? But I think it's just as wrong, if not way more wrong, to give people a false sense of hope, like to tell them that they're going to see their dead family members after they die when there's no indication that that's actually true. Oh, I don't know how to work my software, so I have to put Kwaku on the screen to have him. Let's go back. Where was he? Where was he?
And the stars and the planets, thinking about who lives there and realizing it does connect to the gods and the angels, realizing that the meaning of life is absolutely intertwined with higher intelligence, and that the cosmos and our spirit are something meant to stretch forever and not be confined to a few cities on one planet for a couple of years. Whether it's Zeus being sung praises by the muse, Krishna showing his otherworldly glory to Arjuna, Solomon casting out demons from the bottom of the temple, Joan of Arc seeing the angel Michael, or Muhammad talking with Gabriel, or Joseph Smith and Moroni, it's a part of the human story. This wonderment and push beyond our modern cul-de-sac view of life and peek into the other realm is what makes life worth living. It's what has inspired the greatest art and literature. It's what people died for. And atheists, you want to take that all away.
So which one of those is the one true church?
When you die, that's it. Well, when you die, that isn't it. I add my testimony of this to the ancient Sumerians who looked up to see the Anunnaki, the Tibetan monks who communicated with the beings of Agartha, the disciples who saw the resurrected Jehovah ascend to the Father, and Joseph F. Smith who saw the spirit world. I have my testimony that
Joseph Smith was a prophet.
Then why would you still
be
here?
We have living prophets.
Thanks.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go into the. Yeah. Here we go into the testimony, right? So, Kwaku, it has to end with the testimony, right? So, Kwaku, I have lots of questions, right? One of which is, like, you want to make the point, is this a video about why, like, religion versus not, right? Religion versus the theism versus atheism. If that's the case, then all of the stuff that you just said about all of those religious characters that saw God or saw something spiritual. Which one of those is the one true church, right? I thought there was a great apostasy that your church is fixing. Uh, if that's the case, then all of those other people were high or schizophrenic, or are we going to make a sort of, I don't know if it's a God of the lost or God of the gaps kind of argument, or if it's more just sort of like the lost pages of the Book of Abraham argument, right? Where that was God too. That was Mormon Jesus also visiting all of those other people, and we just haven't had those gold plates dug up. Not quite sure. Anyway, I mean, the rest of this video is just, Kwaku plugging his thing and giving his testimony, so we don't need to see it. But I just had to respond to this. I mean, there is so much packed into here, and Kwaku is, I don't know. Is it a good thing that he's the best that they could do? I just couldn't let good people in the YouTube atheist community go impugned like that. And also, there's just such bad apologetics in this video. So Kwaku, let me give you a big bisexual kiss there. I'll come and see you in Provo. You say you have love for people. I'll give you a big, I'm sure you're a nice guy. I want you to have, a great time in the celestial kingdom and find your woman to support you as you climb the priesthood. But, buddy, like, I think you could probably do better than this. And if I were paying for this, I would be a little disappointed. All right, peace out. Thanks for watching my first Angry Atheist, YouTube video. Maybe there'll be more. See you guys.